Let's go to the Williams Tractor Hotline and bring in our good friend Dudley Dawson. Dudley, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How about y'all?
Well, I'm going to start out with a question that I know is near and dear to your heart. Let's start out with your St. Louis Cardinals.
Okay.
What happened? Because what I heard was they went to a casino and then brought the COVIDs back to the locker room.
Well, that's certainly what a story that has been out there. I think it's been put to the side by Mozeliak, the general manager, and especially the fact that the front office people didn't go. And it appears that Yadi Molina and Paul DeYoung didn't go, so anybody else that went has not stepped forward and said they did. So it's fun to speculate, and I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying that there's no video or no reports except some baseball writers throwing it out there.
This isn't a Florida Marlins situation where they walked on down to Magic City.
Something like that, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, no wings that I know of.
All right, let's start with Isaiah Joe. Announces over the weekend that he is going to return to Eric Musselman and the Razorbacks. Surprised? How does this affect the roster? This roster just suddenly got a lot deeper.
Yeah, I thought it could go either way. And, in talking with him yesterday during the Zoom press conference that he had with us, he talked about how he went back and forth a little bit, and Coach Musselman talked about how at one point he thought he was going to go. But obviously it's a big pickup for Arkansas. It's like signing a five-star guy when he comes back. He's a legitimate player of the year candidate. I'm sure that Kentucky's media will vote somebody up there as well, but certainly he's a legitimate candidate, and he makes them so much better in terms of so many different things. You can slide everybody else down one position. It makes them much more versatile. And I think in the end, maybe the biggest thing, he talked about this, he came in at 163 pounds, as I remember. He's now up to in between the 180 to 185 range, and would like to be, and this was a nice little hint, I thought, although you would think this, by the NBA draft next year, he said he'd like to be 190. I mean, so that tells you how, what is one of the biggest things. He also wants to get to the free throw line more. They pointed out that he made his last 30 free throws of the season. And that was just after he came back from the injury, was able to get his focus, I think, and was able to play really well. And just a big pickup for them. Hold on, however you want to look at it.
How do you think his game will change next year? Because I'm sure the NBA people gave him some things to work on. What do you think we'll see a little different from his game next year?
I think we'll see a little bit more of him trying to take it to the rim and show that he can do that. But I also think we're going to see him as more of maybe a facilitator than he has been. I would suspect, and they've been, focusing on a lot of different things over there, whether it's the Milwaukee Bucks offense and so many other different things they've watched on tape during this thing. They're going to put him in a position to be as featured as Mason Jones was last year, and he has some of those same type abilities, maybe a little bit more athletic than Mason, but maybe not as headstrong. But I think that he's going to be put in better positions to be an all-around player, be an all-around facilitator. And, he's a good 6'5", but in the NBA, he's going to have to handle the ball a lot, and I think we'll see that a lot this year.
He's going to play 25 to 30 minutes a game. Who's the odd man out now in a rotation that's probably 10, 11, maybe 12 deep?
Well, I guess we take out Idiola since he's, even if he gets back in December, it's going to be hard for him to get a lot of significant minutes. JT Notai, I think, is somebody who's obviously hurt as well, but they expect him to be back pretty soon. Somebody's not going to be able to play, but unlike last year, you have plenty of options at each position. So I think it's going to be one on the ability of them to play defense, and I also think he's going to play more than he has the last few seasons. And in talking to him in an informal setting, he hears what people say about him not playing very much. But let's be honest. Last year there wasn't a lot of great options, and really there wasn't a lot of last 2 years there wasn't a lot of great options at some positions, and now they have that.
Every day, Coach Musselman tweets out what the theme of the day is. I love that. Today was a Cubs theme day, which I'm sure disappointed many fans that are Cardinal fans. But he changes it up. It's something new every day. How unique is that to what you've seen in the past, and how Coach makes practice each day unique and different?
A couple of things. I think that you need to learn how to handle adversity, and when a baseball team has only won one World Series title in 112 years, it shows that they're available to to learn and go through adversity. So I see the point there. But
well played.
The other thing is he's very good, and his entire staff is very good at motivational things. They want to have something different every day. I know he does this via social media, but he also does it in person. He's a very driven guy. Someone who, if you talk to his wife or his kids, it's basketball, and they have to tell him, okay, you're home now, calm down, and all this. But he's very focused. He's very driven. He's very social media savvy, and he's able to talk to these players sometimes through social media when he's not even around there and get his point across.
Are you concerned at all? Last year, there were 7.5 players, maybe 8 on a given day. Now you're talking about adding 3 more into this rotation. Are you concerned about just being able to manage minutes at this point?
Oh, somebody's not going to be happy. I mean, I don't know which one it's going to be, but somebody's not going to be happy because you can't play all 12 of them. Maybe you can non-conference, but I do think, again, he's going to play 9 to 10, and it's going to be whoever, puts themselves in a position to play a lot. We know with this basketball program, there have been a lot of times over the past few years that some of them have taken themselves out of the mix with their actions off the court. Some have gotten injured. We've had times here where they've played, been 6 or 7 good options at one time, and now it's a wealth of riches, and I feel like he'll be able to manage it somewhat, especially with his NBA background. No, they're not going to be playing, NBA games and NBA seasons, but I think that gives him a help in how he wants to manage different times and all that thing. And he certainly, again, has just so many more options than he did last year.
Talking with Dudley Dawson, WholeHogSports.com. You've angered some Cubs fans. We do have a question here. When was the last time the Cardinals won the World Series?
It was 2011.
The follow-up question is, when did the Cubs last win the World Series?
That's 2016.
Okay.
And again, congratulations for the one win in 112 years or whatever it's been. I know they're already celebrating the title right now after an 8-2 start this year. So.
Yeah, they definitely are. News today came down from the SEC that they're going to push practice, the start of real practice, back to the 17th of August. How does that affect Sam Pittman? Does it affect Sam Pittman at all? Are they just kind of rolling with the punches?
Well, I think it seems like there's something new every day, so they are kind of rolling with the punches. I think they had a pretty good idea that it was going to be pushed back, mostly because of safety concerns. And in this event, I'm not talking about COVID. I'm talking about making sure you don't overwork teams. And I know that there are NCAA rules regulating that. Some teams follow them, some don't. But you have to have kind of a set thing with the NCAA who prides itself, at least, on being there for the safety of the athletes. You had to put something down on paper and have teams focus on that. I think it's a pretty good deal. 40 days, but there's a lot of off days in there. So I think it's college football's version of a shortened baseball season.
Are they allowed to do voluntary workouts prior to this official start of practice? Do you know?
How are you using the word allowed? They have up until the 17th. They can still do Zoom meetings, strength and conditioning, and some other things, is my understanding.
So if some guys just happen to show up at the same time at a field with the football,
you occasionally will see guys just walking down the street with a football throwing it, won't you?
Yeah. It happens in university towns.
It happens. Everything can be regulated,
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Couple of guys get together for cards, and want to go over some video. I guess that could happen.
I guess grab some pizza and everything's good.
Yeah.
Hey, we were talking yesterday about sort of the quarterback situation and the room being a lot different than it was at this point last year, but it was a lot different last year at this point than it was the year before. They've got this really nice, I think, dynamic. They've got Felipe Franks, Malik Hornsby, KJ Jefferson. One of those guys is going to be unhappy at the end of this season, most likely Jefferson or Hornsby, if Felipe Franks comes back. Could you see one of those guys walking out the door?
Well, it's kind of hard to gauge it from this point right now. But again, I'll go back to how it's hard to keep everybody happy when you have a lot of depth at one position. And certainly with those three young men, one who has proven things in the SEC. KJ Jefferson, who we know has a lot of raw potential, and then Malik Hornsby, who was regarded as one of the best quarterbacks in the high school ranks last year. They all can do a lot of good things. Again, I think it's going to be the health of the player, how quickly they pick up the offense. And one thing I will say, it is going to be a challenge for KJ and Hornsby to continue, and in KJ's case, continue to learn shifting defenses. Now, I went and watched these guys play in high school, and they could line up and they could out-athlete you, and their teams could run past you. But in college, when you have defensive coordinators who are shifting right up until the lines, the ball is snapped, a big thing is the mental part of it. So I think they've all got a lot of physical gifts, but who will take the lead mentally will probably be the guy who is starting next year, if not later in this year, if God forbid Felipe Franks gets hurt.
Speaking of challenging, how are you all going to be able to cover practice? Has that been determined yet?
From my understanding, there will not be any live practice coverage. There will not be any live interviews. What we will do is a lot of what's been done this summer. I'm just getting back to it this week. Zoom interviews. The university will set them down and we'll ask questions. There won't be any individual, or I think the presidential thing is called a gaggle. There won't be any gaggles. The way I understand it is just going to be, via the technology, and no matter how many people they have in the stands in terms of fans, the press box is going to be, from my understanding, 1/3 full, if that.
Wow.
Some people are going to get cut.
Yeah, somebody's not going to get their free meal.
You better be the man at your organization if you want to get in there. So I know Clay's going.
Yeah. So how does that change how you'll cover practice? Because, in the past, obviously, you've been able to kind of see what's going on. Now,
yeah, we got to do the first 20 minutes a lot of times, and there were some times when we could stay a little bit longer for, a little bit more of the periods, but we just have to adapt like everybody else is in the country. That it's not involved with sports. This thing has put us all into a different reality, and we're just going to have to roll with it. I will say that before I had my strokes and had to get off this summer, I thought the university did a really good job in getting the athletes and the coaches on almost a daily basis to the media, be it visual or print media, and able to get stories out of it. Now, we all would like to be on the scene more. We all would like to make our own observations instead of them telling us what happened, as y'all all know.
Yeah.
But we're just going to have to roll with it, and I guess. I saw Wally Hall had a column about the meals in the press box. Well, you probably ought to be happy there's going to be a meal in the press box if you are in the press box.
Should be happy you're just getting to go in the press box.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's
well, there'll be another column if he's not allowed.
Yeah, well, that's. I guarantee you, he'll be at the top of the food chain there. Hey, real quick, when they roll the football out on the 26th, what position group are you most confident in that you go, okay, these guys are SEC ready?
That's a good question, because I've not really been asked a lot about confidence in a position. I've always been asked about which one is lacking. But I would say, to be honest, I would go with confidence with the wide receivers. I think they're loaded at wide receiver, and I know that I've talked to a couple of them that are really excited about what they have at quarterback, and and really more than that, what they have at offensive coordinator now. I do think the vision has gone from the coaches to the players a lot clearer than it has, let's say, the last couple of years. So I think that the passing game and the ability to have big plays is going to be much better, and part of that will be, in part because you have somebody like a Rakeem Boyd back there that can break some. And I do think they've got pretty good depth at the running backs as well. But, wide receiver, and if you want me to take a gambit on which one might be the most improved, I would say the secondary.
Okay. Kendall Briles' offensive philosophy is he's going to spread you 53 yards, and he wants to run the football and then throw vertically down the field. Are you confident that the 5 guys up front can get a push? Now, you get no non-conference games. You're playing the big boys 10 weeks. Can they get a push, enough of a push, to move the football in the run game against SEC quality defensive linemen? And can they protect Felipe Franks? Because if you're going to spread 5 wide,
okay, I'm going to answer this. I'm going to answer this in a 2-part way. Number one, am I confident? No, absolutely not. I mean, it is a offensive line that will have to improve greatly to get to where he will be what the coaches want is passable. Do I think there's now a vision from the offensive line coach Brad Davis and Sam Pittman? Do I think that area is going to be coached and developed much better? Yes. So confident that it's going to happen? No, but the potential I do think is there, and I also think that they've got a couple of guys, junior college guys, who will be improved from last year, and Noah Gatlin getting back. He was probably the best offensive lineman they had that was kind of overlooked when he was a redshirt freshman.
Kind of along those lines, what position do you think is going to benefit the most from this new coaching staff, other than offensive line?
I really like Barry Odom. I think he knows what he's doing, and he's going to be a factor back there in the secondary. But being the defensive coordinator, I think overall just going to be better. But if you look at his defenses and where they have improved and where they have developed at Missouri, I think the defensive ends are an area that has a chance to get much, much better. And in part because of what he does in scheme-wise, in addition to putting guys in position to make plays.
He is Dudley Dawson, WholeHogSports.com. Dudley, we really, really appreciate the time.
Hey, it's my pleasure to be anywhere, anytime.
All right, man. Be good.
Thank you, sir.
Dudley Dawson joins us on the Williams Tractor Hotline, as all our guests do. Really appreciate him taking a few minutes to talk a little football. And